What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Drinks with Johnny. I am super excited for you all to be watching or listening to this as I have the second conversation with Chris Daughtry. And, of course, I'm joined by Sam Hawkins today. He decided to show up for once in, like, the last fucking however many episodes, leaving me hanging. But he just wanted to show up because, Chris, you're here today. How the hell you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys? Good to see you. Good to be back for the sequel.
Absolutely, man. We're excited to have you. Like I said, Sam hasn't been here in a while. He wasn't even co-hosting last time you were on the show, Chris. It was just you and me. And then he heard you were coming on the show and tried to finagle his way into being a part of this episode. Which I don't blame him. I mean, you're a great guest to have here.
I appreciate the Ghost Rider shirt as well.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get into some comics at the back end of this show.
Let's go.
But no, just some backstory of me, man. My family, we were rooting for the Rottweiler so hard, and when it was you at the end on the Masked Singer that was revealed, it blew my mind, dude. You, I know it's old news now, but I just want to let you know you killed it, and my family thoroughly enjoyed it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. That felt like I've never done acid, but that felt like what it. Like, as I'm looking around at everyone in these costumes, and we have no idea who anybody is, I'm like, this must be what it's like to be on acid.
So, legitly, you don't know anybody, and everyone's just in costumes?
No, it was fucking nuts. We literally weren't allowed to be in the same vicinity as any of the other contestants. We weren't allowed to speak so that we couldn't hear anybody's voice and kind of, figure it out. And it's a good thing because, like, I was against Seal and like Patti LaBelle, like that would have been quite the mind fuck if I knew that that's who I was up against.
Right.
So it was done pretty well. I don't know how they kept it all a secret, but they did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, we already talked about that last episode.
Yeah, so
and Sam wasn't there.
Yeah,
like
way to bring up old fucking news, bro. Jeez.
Yeah, dude,
I'm just bringing up accolades. Let's go on.
Literally the same conversation
This is why I haven't been on, man.
2 years ago, he said he covered all this and how that goes down. And everyone, if you're like Sam and you don't know what the fuck we talked about last time, I recommend you go check that episode out. We already covered all this stuff. We're talking about new shit. We got Chris motherfucking Daughtry on the show right now. Among all the accolades that he's been going through and touring right now and all this shit. And you want to bring up old news, man? Come on. We got three new great songs from Daughtry out right now. We got Nervous, Pieces, Artificial, and they're all released. And you're bringing up fucking Masked Singer. Get the fuck out of here.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm going to be talking to HR here.
This is why I don't have an HR department for Drinks with Johnny. It is awesome though to have you back and to talk about those things. We did get into all those shows before, but a lot's happened in the last 2 years. I looked at it and I thought it was a lot sooner, but as time tends to go by faster as we get older, I realized it was 2 years ago now that you were on the show.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I had a big ass beard then, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you did. I mean, the beard, you still got the beard, but it's a little shorter. I got a tighter beard as well. I think I was clean shaven last time.
I think you were. If
yeah, man.
You look slim and trim.
Hey, look, see, this is how you be a part of the conversation, Sam. He comes on and he gives me a compliment about the weight loss that is.
Yeah, you look great, man.
Thank you.
I hear you quit drinking too. So
I did.
But I got my non-alcoholic brew dog over here. So.
Oh, okay. Let me grab something. I wasn't sure. Get into the fitness of this. We could get into the fitness right now because I wasn't sure if you were drinking at all, even the non-alcoholics. And so you said you got a non-alcoholic brew dog there. I did quit the booze.
Yeah,
but I didn't quit marijuana.
There you go.
That has been a safe haven for me.
I hear you. I gave up both.
Hey, it's not for everybody.
I live quite the boring life now.
No, absolutely not.
Well, you have to.
Cheers to you, brother. Cheers. I gotta make you take another sip there. Sam's got his Liquid Death. We got some fun going on.
Have you ever taken the time to read the back of the Liquid Death can?
Oh, it's great.
It's so good.
What does it say?
It's so long, but if you read it out loud, it's like campfire shit. You get around the campfire and you read this. It's brilliant.
It's pretty good.
Whoever's in charge of their marketing is a fucking genius.
Dude. Yeah, dude, all the videos, all the promotions that they have, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's always fun and well done.
And it's
I like that they're unapologetic too.
Plain ass water.
Enema of the state, actual enema, right? That's all it is. Well, you can't. We're surprised you're drinking. Before you joined, we were just talking about how freaking ripped you are in Artificial, dude. You're like,
the music video for Artificial. Dude. For those who haven't seen it, man, I mean, that was straight out superhero, Marvel, dude. DC, whichever one. I know you done more stuff for DC.
I dabble in both.
But, okay, yeah. Well, you look like you could play two different fucking characters in both franchises.
Well, let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. I've been trying. Dude,
what's the regiment like though? Because like you just said, real quick, don't mean to cut you off.
No.
Let me set you up. Let me set the table for you here, and you can finish off the course. Like you're looking jacked as always. You've always been in shape. You've always been. I know from our previous conversations and everything like that. I know that you're very fitness oriented. You're very mindful of all that. So you've always been in good shape. But like Sam just mentioned right there, we were both watching the music video for Artificial that came out last year in 2023. And you're just absolutely shredded. You were kind enough, even with obviously how well you take care of your body, you're kind enough to notice my couple pounds of weight loss. So I appreciate that.
Hell yeah.
But, I like to work out. I like to take care of myself. It's part of the reason why I stopped drinking recently was because I wanted just to feel better, be healthier. And, as I said, and in that, I like to consider myself pretty health conscious in a certain way. But nothing like what you got going on there, brother. So why don't you talk to me a little bit about your fitness journey and what your routine is?
Well, thank you for one. I haven't always been. I've had like a love-hate relationship for fitness or with fitness for my entire life, or ever since I was like a teenager. And I think a lot of if I really dig deep and go, what was the attraction to it? I think it was comic books and action films. Like, I think my fascination with like that aesthetic and that physique kind of stemmed from watching a ton of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies as a kid and my obsession with comic books. And so I started training pretty hard when I was in high school because I was a stick figure. And I just started pounding like, weight gainer and terrible tasting supplements and lifting every day during lunch. And then, I get into my, I get married and kids and life and it all just goes out the window. And then I try to get back in shape and then touring happens. And then that definitely was like a recipe for disaster, just late night eating garbage, the late night Taco Bell stops at 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Stop explaining my life story, guys.
And just drinking it was just ridiculous for years. And I remember in like 2010 or somewhere around that area, I would see pictures of myself going, who the fuck is that dude? I put on like 30 pounds. And those pictures exist. They're all over the internet. They're hilarious.
Yeah. We actually brought a couple to show you. I'm just kidding. That would have been fucking. I wish I was that good of a host and just had it ready for you.
And then we had twins, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm gonna start taking this seriously. And I took it seriously for a while. And then, long story short, COVID happened, and I was like, I had nowhere to go. As everyone else, as well as everyone else, and I just was like, you know what? I keep kind of going back and forth on this fitness, then not so fitness, and I was like, I just have to like make it a lifestyle. I just have to, because I was tired of getting ready for photo shoots and then backtracking and then having to get ready. So I was like, why don't I just live ready? And so I just started doing the work and changing my diet and, like I said, cut out booze and weed and cigarettes, and which all kind of amplified during COVID at first. Like that first 6 weeks was like a party.
For everybody.
It was noon.
What the fuck are we gonna do now?
I'm making cocktails at noon. I'm like, what the fuck is happening here? And so I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna. I'm kind of a creature of habit. So once I kind of got into a routine, I made that my addiction, and there's been no looking back ever since. And it was years and years of consistency. Like when I say eating almost the same shit every day with like a few variables, like my diet is almost like you can clock it on any even with traveling. I try to, like yesterday, I'm like looking at the menu and I'm like, I don't know. Can you see if the chef can just grill me 2 chicken breasts and some asparagus? Like, it's boring as shit, I'm telling you. But it's how I've learned to live, and I try to keep it as consistent as possible. I train pretty much every day, whether it's walking or weights, or I try to get like 15 to 20,000 steps a day, so that if I do decide to go to the movies later and have a big ass bucket of popcorn and peanut M&Ms, then it kind of offsets it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. What I find so interesting in your nowadays routine, or now that it's been a few years, is it doesn't sound that much crazier than what I try to do. Yet you look like you do, and I look like I do.
Well,
there's.
Like I said,
let's get into some specifics in here.
It has been years. It has been years of consistency, and I started honestly training harder than I ever had. I used to avoid legs at all costs, and I have a trainer.
Can't skip leg day, dude.
I have a bodybuilder friend of mine who's like my mentor and trainer, and he was like, you got to train your back and legs more than anything else. And once I started doing that, I started like building all over. And I mean, when I train, I go hard, and I can't really do it on show days because I started realizing that it kind of affects my voice for whatever reason. I don't know if it's like, I don't know, just causing overall inflammation in the body. And then by the time I get on stage, my throat feels super tight. So I try to keep like if we're in arenas or whatever, we'll do the stairs or jog around the corridor, or just do something to keep some sort of movement. And I've gotten to the point where if I'm sitting for a couple hours, I start to lose my mind, and I have to go for like a long walk because I feel like I'm turning into a piece of shit. You know what I mean? So it's kind of an obsession / addiction / keeping myself accountable. And now that I've put that video out there with Artificial, now I'm like, I'm terrified. I have dreams. I have nightmares of going backwards, and
dude,
and so like that's real.
So are you going to go forward then? Are you going to get bigger? What's your game plan?
Right now, it is all maintain.
You
don't fuck with perfection.
I'm not trying to look like Glenn Danzig or anything like that. Or, I already see pictures of me on stage. I'm like, am I looking too big? I might want to dial it back a little bit.
Yeah, time to lean it out a little bit and not go for bulk. No, it is. You just touched upon something there too that I feel kinship with, is that just sitting around. I found in the last even just a couple years of my life, is sitting for too long does drive me nuts. My mind starts to go to all these other things of inevitabilities and what does it all mean and all that shit. And I'm like, man, I just got to live in the moment, stay focused.
For sure,
is to stay busy, because my mind, I don't know if it's like that for everybody, but my mind will go off into an imagination, premonitions, whatever you want to call it, of the inevitability of death and everything.
Yeah.
Fucking, it gets depressing.
Worst case.
You think about that every once in a while.
Worst case scenario, like it.
All the time.
I think we're probably the same age. I'm 44. You might be a little younger than me. I think something happened in my 40s where I start to think about, like, I used to never I used to never have an issue with flying. Now, if there's like the slightest turbulence, I'm like, this is it. This is the one. You know, I've exhausted my odds. You know what I mean? Like, and I start like going down this like downward spiral of like you just said, of like negative inevitabilities, and I don't know, maybe it is just you know, too much time on your hands or whatever. But I find that walking, if I get outside and walk, that shit just kind of disappears.
Absolutely. I love a good long walk. I've always kind of liked that. It's kind of what I liked about jogging before, but I don't jog as much. As
hey, man.
To like walk and fucking get, you know, your head right, listen to a podcast, whatever the case may be, let it drift off. I also get a lot of creativity out of that. I also get a lot of creativity when I'm working out and stuff. A lot of juices get flowing in the brain, not just the fucking muscles, right?
Yeah, well, it changes your brain chemistry. It's like I started writing lyrics on my walks lately, and I'm like, fuck a studio. Like, it's all coming. Like, it's all flowing. There's something, I don't know the science. I don't pretend to know the science, but I do think that it does something to it. I actually just saw a study where it showed a sedentary brain versus a brain on a walk, and the neural pathways were like firing exponentially on the side of the person that was in movement. So it must do something to get those gears turning, where, you know, when we sit around and do nothing, it's like it's the same as like mindless scrolling. You know what I mean? You're like, it's just doom scrolling, you know, in your brain, you know?
Absolutely. And yeah, and the workouts help with that too. We'll move on from there for a second, but I did know one of our mutual friends and the medal ambassador himself, Jose Mangan. And you guys had posted that you guys were doing a work. I know he's super into fitness as well. He's always been trim and in shape, and, you know, and busting his ass too. But, you know, it seemed like you guys, was that one of your harder workouts, or was that on a show day?
That was a day off. So I was just in LA for some press, and so I wasn't doing any shows. And as a matter of fact, that's one of the videos that I looked at, and I was like, I'm getting a little big. I actually trimmed down like 5 pounds since that video. But yeah, that was a pretty average workout for me. And we went pretty hard that day. I know that we weren't going super heavy with the weight, but you know, the slowing down the tempo and getting in all the high reps is like just as effective, which is how I train. I don't really go for heavy weight anyway. I just go for high reps,
steered away from that,
and try to go to failure. But that was a lot of fun. That was I love that dude, and we had a blast. I don't know if he's done it since with anyone else, but I felt honored that I was the first workout / interview that he had done.
Yeah, no, it was really cool to see, and especially having known you got both of you guys, it was really fun to see that aspect of your guys' life coming out. And that, I mean, it is so cool though. Like, as I said, that kinship of wanting to keep moving, those walks, everything like that. I think that's something a lot of people, you know, can take away from. You know, we don't. You know, there's different levels. You got you know, the comic book character. You got Sam, the guy who sits on the couch entirely too much, and you got me somewhere in the middle. You know, just, you know, and it's all walks of life.
We're all on a journey, my friend. We're all on a journey.
Exactly. Speaking of the journey, though, and what's been going on since the last time you and I talked on this podcast, we never got to do that download show together. We were supposed to.
Dude, you guys just played recently, though, right?
Yeah, we just got off in June. We finally did it.
Yeah, how was it?
We missed out on that. It was great.
Was it overcast?
Yours. You know, we got lucky on that day. It was the one day out of the weekend that wasn't too bad for the weather. It was nice and sunny, and, you know, as you know, we're going on stage. It's bright out by the time we, you know, halfway through the sun finally starts setting at fucking 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Are you guys currently off right now? Are you touring anymore this year?
We have a few things coming up throughout the rest of this year. We do Rock in Rio in September. We have Rocklahoma.
Oh yeah.
There might be a couple other things that we're working on for the rest of the year, but it's pretty slowed down. And then we get back at it in 2025 with some more stuff that we're going to be figuring out. But we just got back from Europe for a month, so currently I'm home enjoying that time off and getting this stuff done.
Well, I hope we share some dates next year on some of these festivals. That'd be awesome.
That would be fantastic. I would absolutely love that. We'll definitely keep an eye out. I know that you're about to go on another run here with Breaking Benjamin.
Yeah, we're going out with those guys and Stained and God, what are we in now? July. We're going out in September, and we got a few shows with Creed, and I think that's pretty much it for the year. We're still finishing up. We're putting this record out in two pieces, so 2 parts. So we still have the second half to finish.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up too. We'll get back to the touring here in a second. You got 3 songs out right now for this Nervous EP. You got Nervous Pieces and Artificial. That's out for everyone to listen to right now. I was curious about that, how you were going to be releasing music. Last time we talked, we even talked 2 years ago, as recent as 2 years ago, how much the industry had changed about releasing music, the importance of social media and streaming that has only gotten, it seems every month becomes more and more important and everything. We talked about that, with the comparisons of YouTube's being out now and TikToks and everything in between, right?
Yeah.
But so much has changed again in 2 years of how music is released and what it all means. So walk me through this current project you're on right now, this album you said that you're going to be doing 2 parts on. I'm really excited I didn't know that, so I'm very excited to hear a little bit more about new Daughtry music. And just in general, why you decided to release it the way you're going to. It is the Wild West of releasing music these days. There's no fucking wrong way. It's just everyone's figuring out what works for them and their audience, which I think is great because it's more of that direct to audience, band to fan, as Edsel Dope told me. Band to fan has become a thing even more so than ever. So what is what's the plan here? What's the strategy? What's the chess move for Daughtry and new music?
Well, I think going into it, it was all intentions of doing a full record, and for all intents and purposes it will be, and once we got started, it was a bit of a late start on writing this record, due to touring, and then not to go down a dark path, but I lost my daughter to suicide, and
sorry about
so
that.
When we started writing for this record, when I started writing with my producers, it was a bit of a slow start, and when we landed on Artificial, we'd already written like 5 or 6 tunes at this point. Pieces was one of them, but it didn't feel quite ready, and I don't know if I was actually ready to really talk about it at the time. And Artificial just felt like, holy shit, this feels like the freshest thing we've ever done. It's so different than anything that it's either going to work extremely well or it's going to not at all. And I think it would be a great way to test the water, so to speak, on the direction we're really trying to go with this record. And I don't think we should wait. I don't think we should wait till the record's done to release this. So we released Artificial like way in advance. And ironically, it was our first #1 at rock radio. So that was like, oh shit. So this is our fan base is on board with it. Rock radio is on board with us coming out swinging and coming out harder. And it's where I've been, trying to kind of get my way back into for years now. And it became one of these things where we were like, well, it kind of slowed down the writing process because now we're supporting that. Now we're promoting that. And I'm looking at, the Ronnie Radkes of the world that are releasing, a single every few months and haven't put out a record since 2017. And I'm going, there's no fucking rules. Like, yeah, I mean, the goal is to have a full body of work by the end of this, but we can trickle out the singles here and there and still work on the record. And we're still touring. We went out with Breaking Benjamin. That kind of put a bit of a pump on the brakes, but we had already had the first half done. And I was like, well, what if we released it in two halves? Like we still haven't announced the name of it yet. But we put out part one and part two, and I'm so stoked on, like, part one is like my favorite thing we've ever done. And it's I don't have the date yet, but it's sometime in September because it's going to be coming around the time that we go back out with Breaking Benjamin and Stain. And it was like, it gives us the time to not rush that second half. We can really dig in, and because these first 6 songs, I was like, I think we set the bar for ourselves pretty high. And now it feels even harder to land on something that feels fresh. We're like, oh shit. So the writing process now is like, this doesn't feel like it lives up to this half. So let's move on to something else. And it's kind of given us that freedom to really dig in and explore and not feel like we're rushing something to just finish an album, because it's like you said, the streaming is more, I mean, it's just the way. I mean, there's no getting around it. There's no escaping it. I mean, yeah, people are collecting vinyl on the daily now, and it's cool because at the end of the day, it's really nice to have that physical body of work, but nobody's in their car listening to vinyl. Nobody's walking through the airports listening to vinyl. You're streaming, you're listening to, on your AirPods. And so I kind of just was like, let's just try this. And it gives us and then once we come out with that second half, we can just put it all together in one big body of work. And I know Atreyu did that recently. They did like 3 different EPs that led up to one big body of work. And I think it's cool because it gives the listeners and the fans something to kind of sink their teeth in and not feel like you're given everything at once, and then you've got like 2 songs that get the attention, and then the rest of it's kind of like forgotten about in a week. But I don't necessarily say that that's the way. It's just the way that we're doing this one, and it may bite us in the ass, or it may work out well. But it just felt like there was too much pressure to like finish the record and get it out, and I didn't want to do that. And once I kind of pitched that to the label and was like, hey, what do you think of this? And they're like, oh, I think we can do that and still, meet all the DSP. I don't pretend to know all this shit, but all the DSP requirements for the record and the promotion and getting all that, the assets and done in time, and still getting the playlistings and all that. I'm still trying to figure this ball game out. You know what I mean? So it's kind of a let's throw the spaghetti against the wall and see if it sticks.
Yeah. No, it's fun to hear you talk about it.
It sounds great when you say, what's your chess move? Because I'm like, I don't know if it's that methodical.
Well, I got a question.
It doesn't always need to be.
So you started the last album on Daughtry, right? Your own label.
Yep.
So that's got to be a lot more work on your own self. And then recently I saw that you partnered up with Big Machine, right?
Yeah.
So how does that work from the last release to this? Is it a little easier? Or is it how was it on the last one? It seems like it'd be a lot more work.
That's a great question. That's a great question. It was you don't realize how much a label does until you don't have one, and it was an uphill battle, but we did really well with that record considering we did it all on our own. I think we had two top 10s, one top 15. Like that was in a format that we hadn't touched in 15 years. So that felt like a huge win for us. And then when we came out with Separate Ways with Lizzie Hale, Big Machine caught wind of it and was like, hey, we're big fans. We'd love to work with you. Let us work this song. And, we've got the means and the backing to get this thing, as much attention as we can get it. And it did well. I think we got like top 5 or something like that, top 6. And with a cover, and they approached me like, hey, we would really like to do your next record if you're interested. And I was like, I don't want to. It was very important to me that because I was the thing about doing Dearly Beloved on my own was that I had nobody telling me shit. It was, I'm writing what I want to write. I'm putting out what I want to put out. You either like it or you don't, but this is the record. And I don't want to lose that anonymity. I don't want to, autonomy. I don't want to lose the ability to have my vision fully, whatever word I'm looking for. I wanted to see that vision through, and and
you don't want to compromise.
Yeah, so I was like, if you're in for the ride and you are here to support this vision, then let's fucking go. But if you're here to tell me your idea of who we are and what we should be doing, then I'm not interested in it, and I would rather do this on my own again. And they were like, oh no, we love what you're doing. We just want to be a part of it. And I was like, in that case, let's fucking do this. So it's been great. It's been they've been fully supportive of these really fucking expensive videos that I have in my head and these ideas, and we're about to do another one, and it's probably one of my favorite songs we've ever done for our next single, and I cannot wait for people to hear it. But it's been an incredible partnership, and it feels like a team that fully supports what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do artistically, and that's not always the case with a label. So that was the attraction.
Yeah, and I guess Sam, you were saying before we went on, you correct it if we're wrong here. Big Machine. Who were some of the other acts you saw on there, Sam? This
little girl named Taylor Swift came from there, right?
Yeah, that's
she a part of that?
Yeah, I think that's a sore subject.
Oh, you mean Kelsey's girlfriend?
Yeah, we don't want to bring that one up. But no. I mean, isn't Aaron from Stains on there?
I think he is for his
Tim McGraw, Brantley Gilbert.
They just signed Motley Crue.
Nice.
And
okay.
I know Aaron Jones was on there. I'm not sure if he still is, but they've got their whole like rock. Bad Flower. A few others that I didn't even realize were on the roster. So they've got their hands in the country pot and the rock pot. So
Was Papa Roach on that one too?
No, they're on ADA, which is what we were on for Dearly Beloved. Which is an indie.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So you're saying that kind of Big Machine marriage and you came about from that Separate Ways cover you did with Lizzie. Amazing cover, by the way, and amazing pairing. I mean, two amazing voices in rock coming together to do a cover. It's really cool to hear. I remember hearing that shortly after we had our last conversation, and really excited to hear that. Also friends with Lizzie.
She's insane.
How did you and Lizzie get to? Oh, she's so good. She's a great person, great human being, and somehow an even better singer. It's awesome to see. Well, actually, she's probably a better person than she is. I apologize. I should say it the other way around about people. But I'm just saying they're both fucking awesome.
Yeah, they're both great.
Both attributes of hers. So how did you and Lizzie get together, and how did you pick Separate Ways real quick before we move on?
Yeah, Lizzie and I had known each other since the Howard Benson days on when we were working on our second record and they were working on their first with Howard. We met way back then, which was like 08, 09, and then we did some touring together with Three Doors Down back in 2013, and we were mutual fans of each other, and we kept threatening to do something together and at some point. And during the pandemic, we did this acoustic, we were doing these acoustic live streams, and I found out she lived in Nashville, and I was like, hey, would you want to come out and jam with us on one of these live streams? And her and Joe came out and we did a couple covers. We did like The Chain from Fleetwood Mac, and we did Man in the Box, and then we did one of the Hailstorm song. And so we were like, we still need to do something in the studio. Like, this just works. Like, this is too much fun, and you're such a badass, and we're geeking out over each other's voice. And fast forward to as we're out touring on Dearly Beloved, me and the guys were like, we need a definitive cover. Like, we need a cover. We've always done covers live, but we never really recorded one and put it out, and in the sense like how Disturbed did, The Sound of Madness, and it became a Disturbed song, like you hear that song and you think of Disturbed now. And not Sound of Madness, Sound of Silence.
Sound of Silence. We know what you meant. We know what you meant.
I was mixing Shinedown. And at first it was kind of half jokingly, but it was, the thought process was like, find something from the 80s, something really synthy based, something that we can make really heavy. And I think one of the guys said, what if we did Final Countdown? And I was like, thinking about it, and I'm like, all I could pick.
How do you make that song your own?
Yeah, how do you make that?
How do you take that away?
It's going to be hard to get the cheese off of that one. And all I could picture was, I don't know if you've ever seen like Hot Rod, but all I could picture was us doing a karate montage.
Oh, yeah.
Like in the woods, like doing karate training. Like, that's all I could pick. I'm like, this is not the way, but we're on the right track here.
No. Now I want to see that happen though. Now I want to see that happen. And I'm picturing the Hot Rod with Andy Samberg. Yeah, with Andy Samberg.
That movie's such a fucking classic. I love it.
So good.
But fast forward, we're off tour, and I'm sitting there watching Stranger Things with my wife, and it was like the last season. And it was the finale episode, and it was this big epic, montage of I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but they were about to go do the thing, and the way they had separate ways in there, and it was the way it was chopped up and edited. It was so cinematic and fucking super cool, and I was like, oh, I think this is the one. I think this is the song we need to do. And so I hit up my producer, Scott. I was like, dude, we need to do Separate Ways. This song's going to blow up right now. It's going to have a new resurgence from Stranger Things, and we need to get on it before anybody else does. And he was like, what do you think about doing it as a duet? And I'd never really thought of it as a duet, but I was like thinking about it. I'm like, well, lyrically, I guess it could, you could kind of see it from two perspectives. And I was like, it's got to be fucking Lizzie. Like, and Scott had done the last Hailstorm record, so there was already a connection there with all three of us. And I was like, do you want to reach out to her, or you want me to reach out to her? He said, I think it's going to be better if you reach out. I was like, all right, let me text her. Lizzie, hey, I got this song. I know we've been talking about doing something together. How do you feel about jumping on Separate Ways with me? She goes, let's fucking go. It's my go-to karaoke song. Let's do this. And so she lived in Nashville. I live in Nashville. And this was, I guess this was way after COVID, but people were they were getting in the studios together. And it was the first time that I had done a collaboration with anyone where we were all in the same room in a very long time. And just getting to, I knew how good she was, but just getting to witness that in the vocal booth is like, I don't know what to describe it as or compare it to, but her level of pro is like unmatched. It's like she's so fucking good and she's so fierce behind the mic that it's intimidating. Even as myself, I'm sitting here going, I need to learn how to do this again. Like she's taking me to school right now. She's so fucking good. But that was, and I knew what we were doing that day was special. Like, but then hearing it back, and when you have two vocalists that sing hard and powerful, it doesn't always work. It doesn't always gel. Sometimes it feels like one's competing to be the one, but it gelled so well. We were both like, "Oh shit, this works!" You know? Yeah, and it took off, and so we were really happy with how that worked. Anyway, short story made even longer.
No, we love.
I like how the end of the video, you guys have that. You left in that moment of you guys talking at the end.
That was not. Really... We didn't know we were shooting a video that day. We were.
Oh, really?
We were supposed to be shooting like B-roll of us just jamming out in the studio, and the person they hired to shoot the B-roll comes in with these fucking tube lights and fog machines, and we're like, neither one of us were like dressed for a music video, and I was like, I guess I'm sitting.
Oh, you were wearing a shirt then. See, Sam, Chris was wearing a shirt.
I was wearing a shirt.
That's why he said he wasn't ready for a music video.
I'm reading the lyrics on a fucking music stand, and she was prepared. She knew it. And I'm sitting there reading the lyrics, and I'm going, maybe this will look cool in post. And then I get it back, and I'm like, did we just shoot a video? Like, are we doing, is this for real? And I didn't think we were going to be able to release it for a while because we were having some troubles getting the approval from someone in the Journey camp. So that took a while to get the sign off on, but we eventually had the okay, and it became the unofficial video.
It's great to see. It's great to hear. Man, I can't even say any more big praises to Lizzie than you just did, admitting that it made you self-conscious and think about your own craft.
Very much.
So, I mean, last time we talked, we were talking about how high you were going on Dearly Beloved. There's a lot of C sharp on that album, as we were talking about. I mean, you got quite the range, man. Are you still still hanging out in that register every once in a while on this new stuff?
I immediately regretted that decision.
When you went to go play them live, because when we talked, the album wasn't out yet.
Dude, I don't think
I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it.
I haven't. We started dropping keys, and I was like, I haven't sang "Changes Are Coming" in that key since I recorded it, and I'm like, what happened that day? Dude, your boy Matt, he's got that fucking range too, man. But he seems like he has no problem living there, and I don't know how you guys do it live, but I'm like sitting here going, they're not going to complain if we drop this a half step, are they? Because fuck that. That's why.
No, because fuck that. And you're doing it every fucking night. When you're doing it every night, hours upon hours, it's difference of going in one day to try to nail a part.
Does Matt ever does he ever go like, I don't know about this? Like, I'm always interested in talking to other singers because
yeah.
I freak myself out. I'm like, why did I do that?
Dude, it's the same with every instrument, to be fair. But like, as we're talking about vocals here, Matt, in the past, we have dropped songs a half step here and there. As of lately, though, the last several albums, whatever you want to call it, I can't remember when, but we kind of stopped doing that. He was able to get his voice. He's like fucking the late great Kobe Bryant.
He's a monster.
His vocals. He's on it 100% of the time. He's super disciplined. I've never seen anyone else. Not to take away from all the amazing singers that I've been around and everything like that, but the work ethic in particular and the attention to those details There's no one. We've said this before, but there's no one I would rather have with vocal issues occasionally than Matt, because I know he's gonna find a way to get fucking around because he's gonna do the work.
Yeah, I get that. Dude, you need to share my number with him. I want to pick his brain.
Oh, he would love to do that. Honestly, Matt is one of the other people I have other guests like yourself on that have either haven't had the pleasure yet or whatever, talking about Matt and his vocals and how he takes care of it, or people who have been around him and seen that he's helped out some other singers along the way. He's very helpful. He's one of the nicest people in the fucking world. So for stuff like that, absolutely. If there's anything he can do to help a fellow singer, I would
love to talk to him. We shared a vocal coach in Mr. Ron Anderson, R.I.P.
The late great Ron.
The late
Anderson.
great.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
What a great guy that guy was.
Totally.
It was always fun. The first time I ever met him was when we were doing City of Evil in 2005 or whatever it was, and that was when Matt had just started working with him, and he came into the studio a couple times during, he just started working with him, wanted to see what it was like in the studio. Man, he was just such a jovial, nice character.
Absolutely. I what a great loss, man.
Yeah. One of the other things, though, when we were talking about Lizzie and everything there, you mentioned music videos and your ability to make these extravagant music videos, which is hard to do, as you and I both know these days, with budgets and everything like that, to get your idea to actually make it to a music video in the way that you want it. You said you're about to film another one, though, and another song coming out. What can you tell us, if anything, about this next single, maybe when it's coming out, anything like that? We got a few weeks, just to give you peace of mind here, Chris. We got a few weeks before this releases. If you remember from last time, I'll take it out. If it's too early.
Well, this
go ahead and let me know.
This will not drop until September, so I can't really talk about it in that sense. But I will say that these videos have all had some sort of inspiration or reference to some sci-fi movie or action film. With Artificial, we had Terminator. And with Pieces, I was loosely inspired by Enter the Dragon with the mirror scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shit. Yes. That's so right.
Fucking call. Yes. That's so good. I love that fucking movie. I want to ask you more about that. Continue about this new song, then we'll come back to Pieces.
So just know that there will be some sort of nod to a certain, if you're into the genre, you'll catch it, But I love combining my love for sci-fi and comic books and somehow infusing it into the videos, and then it's the fun of trying to convince a label that they need to spend that much money on a video when really the argument is, do people even watch videos anymore? I'm like, well, I fucking do, and I want it to look cool.
Damn right. They'll make the money back. That's another thing about this Wild West of releasing music, though, too, and music videos. That I think the industry will eventually wrap its head around it, probably by the time we've moved on to something else, as they tend to do. But with that, though, like when it's all streaming, when it's a video, like the argument is that no one watches videos, but they do. Clearly, there's a whole fucking app for it called YouTube that's been around for about 20 years now, destroying everybody else. So they are. It's just that they're not seeing. There's no patience in the industry.
Yeah.
Which I think they're going to have to learn, because the great thing about music videos and streaming that moves forward for the artists, even for the people who are actually making the money off of it, not us lowly artists who get our percentage at the end of it. It's sitting there. A catalog is sitting there for everybody to take a look at anytime, to come back to do everything. So you don't have. I don't understand that argument from some of the labels. I'm like, you're gonna have this for life sitting there, earning money for you. What are you talking about? You're gonna recoup the money.
I mean, are they getting shown on television all the time anymore? No, but what is? You know what I mean?
Well, that's the old school mentality, I think, Chris, is that's what they were used to, is I put it out on TV, I get an instant money back. They're not being patient with, it's death by a thousand cuts now.
Yeah.
But that's the industry now. That's how we have to look at it. And it's great for guys like yourself or a band like myself. With a bigger catalog, longevity. That's what the new fans are discovering and getting into and going out to the concerts. They're not hit driven. They're not driven by what someone else says they should listen to. They're going out and able to discover it themselves. So let everything just be fucking discoverable. That's your job as a label, just to let it be discoverable to the point that the artist wants to showcase it. They know their fans better than you do. Let them showcase their music and art directly to the fan the way that it is. Be the bank that you're supposed to be. Get it done. Put it out. Collect your check while the band continues to gain popularity through fandom and knowing things and going out and playing the fucking shows.
I back that. I back that message.
As a fan,
thank you. I'm running for president of the music industry.
Let's go.
I'll keep both my ears. I'll keep both my ears. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, too soon?
No. Right.
No, this episode's coming out 3 weeks from now. Everyone's already made jokes.
They'll be on to something else by then.
Yeah.
But you said artist, and that's true. And similar to Spencer of Ice Nine Kills, or a friend of our show.
Love Spencer.
A lot of story. Yeah, he's a great guy, but he has a vision of a collection, and you have the same thing too with your music and how you're putting it out in the storytelling you're telling. And I think in modern days, I mean, I know my kids. My kids are around your age. I have a 10 and a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
and that's how they consume things, is more through the music videos and things like that they can watch over and over again, rather than they're just singing the song there. They made a video.
Yeah,
let's put it to bed. Let's get on to the next one.
And most kids are listening to the songs via YouTube. So why not have the visual component that's compelling and keeps them wanting to watch, as opposed to a cheaper lyric video or something like that. Give them something to fucking challenge themselves with some cool art and some out there concept that makes people think,
And that's where you're going to create the real fan there too.
Yeah.
That's where you create that real connection that is longer, that has more legs to it than just the hit and the hearing it for the first time. And maybe you go back to it a few times and you love listening to the song, but you become more of a passerby fan. These days, you can really cultivate to get the true fan base and get directly to them. And I think that's earlier on in this conversation, Chris, this is what I was asking about how you release stuff, because there's no wrong way to do it. This is you and your group reaching out to the fans, and not just pushing it. It's no longer pushing it. You're bringing them in to your idea. It's not a machine. I know we were talking about labels, big machine and everything, like just pushing it down other people's throats. It's like, this is it. This is my vision. I'm giving you my best interpretation of my vision. Here, come on in. And if you don't want to go over there, that's fine, but come on in.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the position we're in right now. Now, there's not as much money as there used to be.
No.
But
But to your point, Johnny, because it's not because the streaming doesn't pay what it does, you have to find other means.
Yeah.
So music videos through YouTube and things like that.
Merch.
I don't know why they're so resistant if that's what's going to pay the bills in the long run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
And you're absolutely right, Sam. And I just want to say, to piggyback off that and make sure the listener and viewer at home know, I'm not complaining here about the money issue of it. Like, I'm fine. I get it. You're gonna poo-poo that and be like, oh, these guys complaining about money. Look, I get it. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about the percentages. If you watch sports, if you're into sports, you could liken it to that. You have the owners, the association, and every player is still asking for more money because they're grossly underpaid by percentage of what's being brought in. That's all we're talking about. I'm not talking about my bottom dollar, Chris's bottom dollar that comes in from it.
Yeah.
I'm talking about fairness. And I know fairs are only where they prize pigs. But if we're talking in a utopic idea, fairness by percentage, you and I, Chris, should be getting a little bit more of the pie.
If the music industry was bringing in the kind of money that the sports industry is bringing in,
there's levels to this.
That would certainly be incredible. But we were just talking about that the other day on the bus. I'm like, holy shit. I mean, the amount of money that they're making just on jerseys, if we made even half of that on our t-shirts or ticket sales or whatever, I mean, it's a completely different arena. You know what I mean? A different. But it just, yeah, music is. You gotta love it.
Absolutely.
You gotta be doing it
Absolutely.
because you love it. Because there's very few Taylor Swifts out there that are raking in literal billions on their music.
Yeah, it's hard to do with the splits and everything,
Yeah.
and hopefully that changes. You know, we got Web3 around the corner. My fingers are crossed. You know, we don't know yet what that's going to
I
do.
gotta look into that.
It opens up a lot of doors.
I'm not in the know on this Web3.
Man, I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be one of the forefront or anything thinkers of it from my band, and we're one of, as a band, this is something we definitely think about because it's another tool. It's looking to the future and seeing how can everyone in any industry is going to be able to use it the way that they want, just like they did with Web 2, just like they did with the original .com era. Now it's all up to all of us creative minds to figure out how we're going to implicate it and how that is going to expand this fan to band relationship that we're cultivating now. How do we take that further? Where, continually more and more you're seeing it, and artists are cutting out the middlemen.
Yeah.
You don't have as many. The labels themselves don't have the team that they used to have. It's a much smaller core team. It's all dwindling down. So hopefully the idea is in Web3, you're going to have even the revenue. Everybody will be able to see it because it'll be on the blockchain in theory, and it'll be more streamed straight between the two.
Yeah. Okay.
And amongst fans trading stuff themselves. That's the whole part of NFTs. I know got a big bad rap for just being pictures. It's not what it is. You got to look at the smart contracts behind it. And then people are going to be able to trade their contracts just like back and forth. It's a really great thing in theory. I know it's got a lot of bad rap from a lot of rug pullers and everything like that, but that's not going to stop it. It's still coming.
Yeah.
The next evolution of the internet and social media is coming. When it happens and what it looks like, we still don't know. But it is coming, and it's a good idea to kind of.
I got to do a deep dive on that.
Try to wrap your head around on. Yeah, I mean, I still got to do more too, Chris. Talk about the fucking Wild West.
Matt,
this is the Wild West that hasn't even fucking started yet.
When you talk to Matt about singing, you can talk to him about that too.
All right.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we tie a bow on this, there's a few more things I want to get to with you, Chris. One of them, not to bring too much of a downer on it, you did mention the passing of your daughter, Hannah. That happened fairly close after the last time you and I had a chat. We had sent out some wishes. I hope you got our email at the time. Just wanted to make sure, you were doing all right.
Yeah, and I appreciate that.
And your family. I did hear pretty recently you started talking a little bit about it and released what had actually happened. Again, I don't want to bring too much of a downer on it, but if you wanted to share anything, maybe some wisdom for those of us who are still here today, to look out for things of that nature.
Yeah, she struggled with mental illness and addiction for most of her life, and it's one of the reasons that I cut out booze and all the bad habits, and because I wanted to protect my own mind. I don't think any one of us are impervious to, like we talked about earlier, negative self-talk or intrusive thoughts or whatever. I think it's easy to, in the world we live in, to just go down this slippery, dark slope. And I wanted to be better for my kids. I wanted to, it was a really fucking hard thing to live through, and to, I think we're still, I don't think it's something that it's not something we'll ever get over. I think I'm forever changed by it. I think, it was a roller coaster of emotions. I I allowed myself to just grieve the way I didn't know any other way. I think there was moments that I put pressure on myself that I should be over it by now, and it's like, wait a minute, I don't think you ever get over it, um, and some days are easier than others, and I love to, I couldn't help for it. It had to make it in the music. It became a big part of this record, that I'm working on, and just putting myself out there and being vulnerable and talking about hard shit and talking about, the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis, because I want people to realize they're not alone in this. No matter how good things look on the outside, we all go through shit, and we all go through, moments of feeling not good enough or whatever. We all go through things in life that are traumatic and that chip away at us. And I'm trying to show my kids healthier ways to deal with that sort of thing. And whether it be going to therapy, or whether it be, the fitness, or just putting the importance on talking about hard shit, and not, trying to break that stigma of keeping that shit on the inside. We talk to our kids all the time about when shit's hard, we don't sugarcoat it. Like we allow our kids to see us, struggling, or like just being open and honest. Like we're having a hard time right now because of this, and this, and not just sheltering them from that, to hopefully make it easier for them to discuss those things when they're struggling, or maybe there's things that they're dealing with that they don't want to talk about, and letting them know that it's okay that without judgment, that we're here. I know I'm kind of rambling all over the place, but these are just things that I've really learned through this process. And I think there were moments when we would try to fix her, you know what I mean? Instead of just be there and just be like, what's going on right now? You know what I mean? We would, and those are the moments that kind of come up in the guilt part of the grieving process. Like, fuck, man, what if I would have just like taken her to get a pack of cigarettes and not try to like preach to her or fix her or whatever, have these connection moments instead of going, well, what you need to be doing is, so those are the hardest parts of, I think, grieving is the going back and going, I wish I would have fucking did this, or I wish I would have said this, or maybe if I would have done this, maybe I could have, you start to convince yourself that maybe you could have changed the course of certain events. And I think that's the hardest part of grieving or losing someone to suicide is you start to kind of go down this rabbit hole of blaming yourself for things, or convincing yourself that if you would have done this differently, that maybe you could have prevented it. And it's really not true. And that's the hardest part, that you don't have any control over it. And the only thing that I can do now is hopefully be a better version of myself for those who are still here with me,
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, going through some of that, the regret is definitely got to be the toughest. I've lost people close to me. I think, as you mentioned, all of us have, and we all go through that shit. Never something like a daughter though. It's got to be, as we said, there's levels to this, and that's just awful, man. And the way, as you know, you can't beat yourself up about it. There's nothing. you wanted to change, you want to change the way you acted then, but as you said, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
You can't, the same way you were, maybe, as you said, correct me if I'm wrong here, the same way you were like, I was teaching all the time rather than just being
right,
there, right?
Right.
Same way you're like, oh, I wish I would have taught her a different way. It's like, no, that's not really what there's no, everyone has their own path in life. And that's the hardest thing to understand for me, is that no matter what, no matter how much you try, everyone has their own path, and they have to find it. They have to deal with it their own. And it's hard for those ones around them, or for them to even notice that the ones around them that are trying are just loving.
Yeah.
It's such a fucked thing that unfortunately is part of our lives.
Yeah.
Just being here. And again, I just want to say from us here and myself, like, just deepest condolences.
Thank you.
Glad you were able to get through it to this point where you got music that can speak about.
Yeah,
it
and that's the the whole meaning of Pieces was, like learning to live with what's left, and applying that to going forward, and hoping that letting these events make you stronger rather than let it define you or put you in this paralyzed state. It's how do I move forward and be a better, stronger version of myself through this, as opposed to letting it destroy me, which can very easily happen. And hearing the impact that it's having on our fan base, that have gone through similar situations or even more fucked up shit, like some of the stuff that they've told us on like live chats, like, this song helped me through this particular thing. And I'm like, oh my God, like, people go through hard, fucked up things in life, and there is a way forward, and I think that's the message in this song. There is a path. There is light at the other side of this, if you just stick it out.
Yeah, man. That's great.
I want to give some
Sam.
accolades to your wife. So in preparation, obviously, we looked things up, and I found your wife's page, and she wrote a really good thing. I'm new to therapy. I just started going like a little over a month ago, thanks to Johnny encouragement. And I feel like a lot of times you want answers, and it's like, hey, listen to this podcast and it'll help you, and you listen to it, and you feel you feel camaraderie through it, but it doesn't really give you answers. And your wife did this really post that brought me teary-eyed. It's kind of doing it now. Just not, how do you be there? How do you not enable someone, but also be there for them? And she did this post with a lot of questions like that. And it was such a true and honest thing of, how do you do that? And there's not really a right answer to any of that, right? So it's you can't. So, I mean, but as humans, it's hard for us not to just dwell on that. So I really respect you and your wife for bringing that up, and thank you for sharing with the world.
Oh, thank you. She's incredible.
I think more people need to talk.
She's incredible, and the way she has processed all of this has been incredibly inspiring. And the way she feels and the way she expresses, I remember that post, and it was incredibly well, not only incredibly well written, but just vulnerable and real. And I've seen her process this the entire time, and she's a huge source of my strength as well. So thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
And, to get a little to change subject off this, but a percentage, she has a new line of or a business, right?
Yeah. She just
and a percentage goes to suicide prevention.
AFSP, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, which we've been doing a lot of work with as well. And she as someone who has supported me through my entire career, she's never really done anything for herself. And or had her thing, and she got really inspired this year, and it's like a light bulb went off, and she found something that she was passionate about. And I'm so proud of her for in the midst of me touring and chaos of not waiting for the right moment to do this, and just said, fuck it, I'm doing it. And regardless of how busy you are on the road, or how busy I am at home with the kids, I'm fucking doing this because I have to. And I'm so proud of her for doing it. It's called Femme and Fawn. It's a online store, and it's incredible. She's done this 1,000% on her own, and she's in fully uncharted territory for herself. Like, she's never done anything like this. And I'm super proud of her. And it's been online now for 2-3 weeks. So
very cool.
For all the women out there, feel free to check it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll put it here in the description for everyone to go check that out.
Hell yeah. Sure. Thank you. And proceeds,
good cause.
And a portion of the proceeds go to AFSP as well. So.
Well, that was also who you donated to for the Family Feud episode of
yeah.
Papa Roach, right?
Yeah.
How fun was that?
Yes.
Dude, that was a fucking blast.
It looks so fun.
It was over.
Okay, so real quick, let's paint the table. Let's set the table again. Let's set the table here. You went on Family Feud.
Yeah.
Daughtry versus Papa Roach.
Yeah.
I believe it was. We saw the post on social media. I didn't get to actually see you guys do this though. So
it hasn't come out yet. It hasn't aired yet.
Oh, is that why?
So I'm not allowed
to. Do you know the air date?
Yeah, I think it's July 31st is what I'm being told.
This July?
Yes.
Oh, sick.
So it's coming out in a couple weeks.
It's coming out in a couple weeks. If this episode's out and it's past the end of July, I'm sure you guys could go find it.
Yeah, it was.
I'm definitely gonna watch that.
It was, dude. It was so fun. First of all, Steve Harvey. It's one thing when he's on camera. When the cameras aren't rolling, it is the farthest thing from family friendly you've ever heard. It's like we were fucking dying. We were dying. I'm like, oh my God, this is hilarious. I want a video of just everything he said when we weren't on camera. It was fucking hilarious. But yeah, it was so much fun. My manager had pitched the idea a while back. Like, what do you think about going on Family Feud? I'm like, I think that could be cool. I don't know. Like, he's like, well, what if we got another band and we were already doing some stuff with Papa Roach at the time, and I had joined them on stage for Scars when they played in Nashville, and they ended up getting it mixed and putting it out, and proceeds would go to AFSP. And we were already wanting to do some work with them as well. And he was like, well, what if we had Papa Roach, see if they would want to join you, and see if we'll pitch it to Family Feud. And they jumped on it, and so did Papa Roach. And we were like, oh, this is perfect. This is going to be great. And it was so much fun. Like we had a blast doing that. It was over and done with, and it felt like minutes. I was expecting it to last way longer, and I'm like, we're already done. But it was cool. I can't wait for people to see it. It's really funny. It was great.
Dude, I can't wait to watch it, because I mean, just as
we both. So the good news is we both were donating to the same cause. So no matter who wins, AFSB wins. So
that's
awesome.
That's even better. That's awesome. Yeah, you grew up watching Family Feud with your family, when
yeah.
you were a kid, and you're like, oh, and joke around at how it would be to be on there.
Yeah.
Now that they're doing it with the bands, I noticed. I think, speaking of Jose again, I believe he
went on it like right after we did. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that Steve and the Feud team is bringing in these rockers to to do this this different version of Family Feud.
Yeah, I think it's super cool, and hopefully more bands will do it, because I'm telling you, man, I would do it again in a heartbeat.
Just so much fun. Would you do it? Would you do it again with your real family?
You know what? Absolutely. If they were down, but I'm telling it would be. You got it. Like I took my nootropics that day. I'm like, I want to be firing on all 5 cylinders here. And
I use the nootropics, huh? Okay.
It's Alpha Brain.
I might have to start that.
Yeah,
soon,
dude.
I've seen a lot of ads for it.
It absolutely works. I will be the first to say.
Well, they're not a sponsor on the show yet, so
they're not a sponsor for me either. I have to pay for that shit. So I won't.
That's bullshit.
I won't talk anymore about it either. But but yeah, I would definitely.
I'll check it out.
I feel like if you're I feel like it's way more like prone to argument if your family fucks up. You know what I mean? Like, are you kidding me?
That's got to be like the best part, though.
That was the best answer you could come up with. Come on.
Oh, so good. Well, was that? I mean, to that point, though. I mean, that's kind of one of the most fun things you think about when you're fantasy being on the show.
Yeah.
Kids like, oh, I'd be fucking tearing into my brother for fucking that.
I will say that I'm very proud of my band that day. They all came with their A game.
Okay, I was going to ask, was there? I mean, among the band, that could actually be worse.
Yeah,
I mean, you know that's a family.
Yeah,
too.
I think you're fired now.
That's a family. Yeah. How dare you lose to Shaddix like that? Fuck that. No, dude, that's awesome. Yeah. I cannot wait to see that. Yeah. I cannot wait. Man, all the. Can you share? I know you started it out there with a little teaser of how Steve might be actually be when he's not on the Feud. I mean, and there's enough out there. Everyone could go find him.
Yeah.
Other comedy. He does comedy of all different means, of course.
Oh, Kings of Comedy was a classic.
That's right. Yeah,
one of the first live stand-ups.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy is not as straight-laced as he appears to be on the Feud there. Is there any more you could give us there? Like anything that?
Dude, I can't even remember half the stuff he said. We were just dying at every turn. It was it was nonstop. It was literally one line after another. We're like, oh my God, where's the HR department?
comes back around. That's amazing. We'll use our imaginations on what some of those jokes are. Then
I wouldn't be doing it any service if I tried to even recall. I would only be butchering it.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll just use our imaginations, as I said. Going back to Pieces one more time, and then I want to tie a bow on this with some of that comic book stuff. But the on Pieces, you mentioned the video. We all got excited. We're talking about the fight scenes. We're talking about Enter the Dragon. Bruce Lee, huge Bruce Lee fan. Grew up watching that with my father. I know the scene you're talking about. That's so great. It's one of the best Bruce Lee scenes. Period, with the mirrors and everything, the claw, everything. One of the best things ever. But I was watching this even before I got that reference. Obviously, you're doing all the fighting and stuff in it. How was it like to work with some fight choreography on this? I've never done that myself. I'm a little curious. I like to do some kickboxing and stuff. We're talking about fitness and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how I do with the music video fight choreography.
I used to do martial arts back in the day, and I did some capoeira and some taekwondo and so and I watched a lot of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, might I add, and Bruce Lee movies. So I was the kid in the backyard mimicking every fucking thing I just saw and learning.
Did you have the nunchucks in the backyard?
Boy, do I! I still have them.
That's what I like.
I can still do that
Hell
shit.
Yeah,
dude. Us 90s kids, man. That's we.
Oh, dude,
that was our shit, man. We would teach ourselves karate
in the backyard. Dude, I grab a stick or nunchucks I got at the fucking fairgrounds.
Absolutely.
Before out there, hit yourself in the head a couple times. And
at least once or twice. You got to. That's a rite of passage with the nunchucks, man.
Absolutely.
So, I had done some choreography before with Heavy as the Crown video. And it's exhausting. Like just fake fighting, it gets exhausting because you got to keep doing the right move. You got to do the same move over and over until they get the right angle, or we didn't, that you think you just nailed it and we weren't on the right. Let's try that again. I'm gonna hit you from this angle. But I had these two incredible, martial art / fight choreographers. They're in a ton of films, and they were so helpful to work with. And I even did this one move, and they were like, "Oh, I see some Jean-Claude Van Damme in there." I was like, "Oh,
that must have felt good." That must have felt good, though. That must have felt like, I've been training this since I was 12.
Since I was 12, dude. Since Lionheart.
Nice pull.
But yeah, that was it was a lot of fun, and I love doing that shit, man. I'm low key filming these videos so that hopefully like James Gunn or Kevin Feige over at Marvel will go like, let's go get your boy over here in one of these movies. Nobody's called yet.
Who would you be?
I don't know.
Who would you be?
I have no idea. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. Like, there's not a character in mind that I'm like. It would probably be somebody that gets killed like 2 minutes in. I don't know. But just to have that, that opportunity would be so much fun. Yeah. I mean, I wanted to be an
Brad
actor.
Pitt and that
What's that? Oh yeah, exactly.
Deadpool, where
dude,
he just pops in for 2 seconds.
Just give me a small little cameo where I kept pitching to my manager. I was like, dude, if they ever, and now they've made it, and the opportunity has passed. But I was like, if they ever make Beetlejuice 2, which they just did, I want to be dead Chris Daughtry with a shrunken head in the waiting room.
That would be so dope.
All right, you get to be you get the shrunken head. I always wanted to be the guy that's flat.
Yeah,
that's
dude,
taken around.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
I love that. Me and the Rev. Real quick story here. We're best friends in the world. We used to watch that movie together, and we started dying. I mean, it's probably by the 100th time we'd seen this movie when that flat dude comes out and he makes. I don't remember the jokes off the top of my head right now, but he just makes a couple of wisecracks.
He said,
we all just.
He's like feeling a little flat, right?
Yeah. So yes, stupid fucking pun. But we started thinking about it, and we're like, and we went to the backstory of this character. We're like, this guy got flattened in life, and he's fucking dead, and he's just floating around, like getting, and he's still cracking wise about it. We started going like, that guy is my favorite guy. He's dead. He probably had the fucking shittiest life, and he's still up there just fucking making puns.
Wasn't that Uncle Fester from Addams Family? I think that was who.
Was it Christopher Lloyd?
No, from the original Addams Family.
Oh, you mean like all the TV show?
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't know.
It was.
That's.
I feel like it was
trivia we need to pull up below here in the comments. Everybody, help us out.
Yeah, I would look it up, but you guys do it and tell us in the comments.
Yeah. We got other shit.
I may be very wrong, but I think so.
Have you seen the musical of Beetlejuice?
No, I haven't. Is it great?
So I'm not a huge musical. I like musicals fine. We went to see Mean Girls, and it looked amazing. The set was great, and then as soon as the curtains opened, they started singing. It's like, oh shit, I forgot I don't like musicals. But
I was wondering where you were going with that, because I saw that one in Broadway, and I loved it. And I was like, wait,
shit,
what was he going to say?
I hate this.
yeah. But I was like,
it's a good thing you're doing a fucking podcast about all entertainment, asshole.
Well, no, that's cool. But I will say, the Beetlejuice musical is amazing. It's a slightly different story. Because I was worried, it's like, oh, I already know this story. You're just adding songs to the story note. But they alter it. So it's a fresh take. It's on Beetlejuice. So I highly recommend checking it out.
All right.
My kids loved it too. It's a little vulgar, though. It's a rated R.
Let's go. Cool. I might have to do that. I'm not a big musical person, but that sounds like something I would love.
You would.
I would love it. I like musicals and I like that shit. So fuck you, Sam. I like musicals. I
did musicals in high school. I was the Scarecrow in The Wiz. So like that was my introduction into acting back in the day.
Dude, I'd like to see you do some more of that.
Yeah.
I mean, with your voice, with what you do in these music videos, your creative mind, I think you'd fucking slay it on Broadway.
Okay.
Just saying. I don't know what role yet, but I think you'd fucking slay it.
Maybe that's my future. Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't rule out anything.
Hey, you got plenty to work with right now. So with the new with the second part of the album, the new album coming out, the tour with Breaking Benjamin, all these wonderful things that everyone at home can go find more of Chris Daughtry. But before we let you go, we mentioned a little bit of comic book stuff there. We at this point, a lot of people know that your other passion is creating covers for these comic books, and we mentioned or we just asked you what your character would be. I'll come back to that. I want Sam. Sam is our comic book aficionado here on the show. So I'm going to let him take it because he probably knows a little bit more about it. I will say the stuff that I've seen for Superman versus Batman, things of that nature, you are a fucking fantastic artist.
Thank you, man. I don't do it enough. I really don't. So I find myself every time I go to do a piece, it feels like I'm having to relearn how to draw because I don't keep that muscle exercised enough, and it's frustrating because I used to draw way more often back when I wanted to be a comic book artist, and then once music kind of took hold, I kind of just let it fall by the wayside, and then I got back into it, and then I'm like, I finish a piece, and I'm like, I'm exhausted from this. So like I want to get more into a regular habit of just doing it for fun, and just to keep that that muscle more exercised.
Well, it's not like you just got some like small B-side characters or anything. You're doing Batman, Superman with Jim Lee, the legend,
my hero.
And then you got Red Goblin, like who's one of the newer, hotter characters of Spider-Man. I mean, Spider-Man cover.
Yeah.
You got Marvel's #1, and then Youngbloods. You did one. Creator of Deadpool, Rob Liefeld.
Yeah,
and soon to be a movie, from what I hear. So,
dude, I can't wait for that.
Everybody hears that movie's gonna be fucking sick.
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. They've been talking about it for a while.
Dude, so is that all just networking? Or are you reaching out? I read the story about the Red Goblin one, but I'll let you speak just on a high level on these. And my next question would be like, do you have an actual comic creation of your own that you're looking to do? I see Z Comics keeps teaming up with all these rock stars and things like that.
Jim Lee is the common thread. He was the reason I wanted to be a comic book artist.
X-Men or Batman?
X-Men and Wildcats.
Or Wildcats.
And simultaneously, the reason I chose not to be a comic book artist because I was never going to be that good. He was one of the first people I reached out to when I became a known name after I got off of American Idol. I reached out to him via MySpace. This was pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even active on it. I just had a page and I was like, well, let's see if this works. And he reached out to me immediately. He was already good friends with John Domayan from System of a Down. And so he was already a rock guy and we just geeked out and we became good friends. And the next time I was in LA, we met up and we ended up playing like DC versus Mortal Kombat for hours and we just shot the shit and became good buddies. And then he did some artwork for our second album, Leave This Town. And years later, he kind of became sort of a mentor where I would send him stuff that I was drawing and then he would, just send it back with corrections. He would take a red line marker and go, pay attention to this perspective here and what he's doing here. And like unsolicited, like invaluable advice to shit that I wasn't even thinking about. And I'm like, oh my God, like there's a reason why this guy is like one of the greatest of all time. And so I just started, I would send him stuff and he would, send me notes back and forth, and it was kind of like having, the greatest, art master in your corner. And he hit me up one day, was like, would you be interested in doing a variant cover for, we're going to be doing this, in promotion of Batman v Superman. We're going to have a bunch of artists do like variant covers. Would you want to do one with me? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, absolutely. But now I'm just extremely intimidated. I'm like, oh my God, this is like, I would sit up for hours. I'm like working on this thing till 3 a.m. It took me a month to get the pencils dialed in.
How many iterations did you do?
Oh, tons.
Like, did you do more than one, or was it always?
Oh yeah, it was like 3 different versions, and then he sent me a better layout, as Jim Lee does. This is cool. Try this. In other words, saying this is better, and he was not wrong. And I was like, oh, that's a way better pose, a way better composition, and so I did the pencils, and then he did the inks. And it, something like that would take him a few hours to knock the pencils out. It took me a fucking month to nail these things down. I was like racking my brain over and over because, like I said, I don't do it enough. So I'm like, I'm having to kind of teach myself as I go again. And then it came out so much better than I ever anticipated. And to this day, it's one of my proudest moments. And it made me like no money, didn't care. It was like, this was my hero, is my hero. And I did my favorite character on a cover of a fucking, Batman book. And it's with my hero. It's like, I don't need to do it anymore. Like, this is it. Like, I just did my magnum opus piece of art,
check it out.
Right. Done. But, and then, going to Comic-Cons, I met these other, artists through Jim, which I was already fans of. Liefeld, like, as you mentioned, Ron Garney from, who did Daredevil. And I met all these guys through Jim. So they would reach out to me going, hey, would you like to do another cover? And I'm like, abso-fucking-lutely, let's do this. And so, it kind of, sometimes I wonder if I'm deserving of those opportunities. But, it was, the fact that I knew them through Jim and they were fans of what I did. And it was, it just kind of worked out. So 3 covers now, and I don't have any on the horizon, but I'm always open to those opportunities. But I feel like I need to get my chops back up before I get back into that. But to answer your question, long story wrap around to this. Yes, I am in the process of thinking of a creator-owned comic. I would, in a perfect world, I would like to do one in collaboration with the record in release of the album that ties into it somehow. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with Andy Biersack about this recently because I know that he's into comics, and I was kind of picking his brain on the concept, and so I'll leave it at that.
Teasing us again, Chris.
I do got one more question I love to ask comic fans. So a couple ones are, when you said you reached out to Jim Lee when things started popping off for you. So I got to say, when you got some money, though, you probably bought a key issue that you always wanted when you were a kid, or no? Or do you still buy books? Have you bought books over the years?
I haven't bought books in a long time, and the most expensive issues I own weren't because I went out and bought them. It was because my manager found them for like my birthday. And I was never into that collector side of the comics. It was more like I loved it for the art. So I would get, anything that Jim Lee did or Todd McFarlane or any of those cats that I just love their work. And when I started getting money, I started buying action figures that I had when I was a kid. I would go on eBay and find like the superpowers from like the 1980s, still in the mint condition card. And like, that was the shit that I would spend my money on. I still have tubs of super rare, incredible condition action figures in my basement that my wife is like, when the fuck are you going to get rid of this?
Never.
And I'm like,
never. The answer's fucking never.
The answer's absolutely never. You don't understand what this does for me. What I don't care how much they're worth.
Yes.
The joy this brings me just seeing them in the tub and they're there. and then
my wife says the same thing. She's like,
and I collected Batman.
My wife will be like,
so yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you have them just? Oh, are they all packed away because your wife won't let you have them out?
No. I've got one on display, the '89, which is like as a Batman fan, the ultimate holy grail of Batman cows.
Well, you and Andy. Andy's favorite was
Michael Keaton. Man, that movie as a 9-year-old seeing that it Batman. Changed my fucking life, man.
Yeah.
Oh, Taron Killam. That was
Taron. Yeah.
Yeah,
he told us a story about meeting Keaton.
Oh, I have a great Keaton story. This is.
Oh, let's hear it.
And we'll have to swap numbers so I can send you the photo. So
absolutely,
I was working with his son Sean Douglas years ago in a studio in LA, and I worked with him 2 days in a row. First day we get through the session. Next day I show up. And apparently it's bring your dad to work day. I had no idea. I'm literally walking into the studio and fucking Michael Keaton is at the door. And I'm like wearing a Batman shirt. And
you were already wearing a Batman shirt too?
And I'm like, this is embarrassing. I had no idea you were going to. And he goes, it happens all the time. And
of course it does.
And we're just shooting the shit like he's my uncle. Like we're in the studio and we're just talking. And I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. And the engineer that was hired that day says the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in the presence of a legend in my life. He goes, I know you from somewhere. Michael Keaton doesn't skip a fucking beat. He goes, yeah, I'm Batman, and points to my shirt. And I'm like, yes!
Fucking legend. Fucking legend. Fucking legend.
You literally heard him say, I'm Batman in person.
He literally said, yeah, I'm Batman. And I was like, my fucking dreams just came true before my eyes. It was so incredible. He's such a rad dude. Anyway, there's my Michael Keaton story.
Well, I don't think we can top that story.
No, we can't.
But I gotta tell you, shameless plug to myself, Sam the Hawk Toys. Do you have an action figure made of you?
I don't. But I'm
gonna make you one.
I bet you're about to get one, buddy.
I bet you're about to get one.
That's what he's about to do.
I want to do an action figure of my.
He's gonna make it shredded
of my character from the artificial video with the half cyborg face.
Well, you just gave him the idea.
Oh,
that's what
there
you're
you
gonna
go.
get.
That's what you're gonna get.
And you're gonna like it.
You're gonna fucking love it. You're gonna put it in that tub next to the rest of the fucking.
I'll put that shit on display. Come on.
Oh hell yeah! I love it, man. Oh, I love that you have a tub of toys too.
Oh man, I have an entire section of the basement that is dedicated to all my action figures. It's ridiculous.
That's so good. I love seeing that stuff. Like you said, it's just looking at it just reminds you of your childhood.
Oh yeah, dude. It's absolutely. So cool. It's invaluable.
Yeah, really absolutely. Again, I said I was going to put a bow on this about fucking 30 minutes ago. So the last question I have to put a little happy bow on this is, Sam started to allude to it earlier. If you did have a superpower, if you're going to be a comic book character that is worthy of your own artistry on the cover, what would your powers be?
What I would like them to be, because I fucking hate traffic. I just want to fly, man. I remember years ago.
Yes.
I have
a practical reason for
I have dreams about flying. And in these dreams, it feels so fucking real. I'll finish with this funny story. This happened years ago. I was so pumped that they were filming. This was when Man of Steel came out. or when they were filming Man of Steel. And I remember seeing set shots of them filming it, and I was so pumped. And I remember having this extremely vivid dream one night that I was flying over the set of Man of Steel, looking at them flying like this. Look at you, motherfuckers! I don't need wires. And that's when I woke up. I was flying backwards on my back, aimed at Zack Snyder and Henry Cavill, saying, "I don't need wires."
That might be the action figure you get instead.
You might need to make two, Sam, because I just love. That was the best answer I think I could have ever asked for.
Yeah,
because it's flying. That's the simple answer, right? But the fact that you had it for traffic and to flip off Zack Snyder means you should absolutely have this fucking power. And if I had the gift of giving powers, like I would do. It's not to save the world, people. Chris isn't trying to fucking fix everything. He just wants to skip traffic and flip off Zack Snyder.
But that being said, I fucking love Zack Snyder, and I loved Man of Steel. And I back anything that dude does.
It was a friendly flip off.
But it was like you're my buddy. Hey, I don't need the technologies.
it was more. Yeah, it was more of you like showing I am actually.
Yeah,
Superman.
I'm doing this.
Me.
Yeah.
Well, dude, awesome conversation.
Hey, man, this was great, man. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
Come back on anytime,
dude.
Anytime,
love
man,
to.
Anytime. We'll get the digits this time.
Yeah.
Hit me up anytime. We'll stay.
You're
in
coming
touch.
around in Anaheim in October. If we're around,
Honda Center, right?
Okay, yeah.
Let's go, dude. You guys are my guests, man. Let me know.
I would love to. I'll make sure that I'm home for it. It's right down the street. I will absolutely be there.
Would love to have you, man.
You are there. Oh, thank you, man. Everyone, make sure you are there for the upcoming shows for Daughtry. And keeping an eye out for new music. Part 2, he said, is coming out. Part 1 still coming out. He's got to make
part
2.
1's coming out in September, and we are currently in recording part 2. So, yeah,
amazing. And a music video coming out. That should be awesome. Hopefully, you keep your shirt on this time, and I can show it to my wife.
Yet to be determined.
Well, again, man, thank you so much, Chris.
Absolutely,
thank you, Sam.
man.
Thanks for everyone. Thanks everyone at home for watching and listening. Until next time, as always, cheers.